Hi! I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. This next project, I want you to write a thank you letter to somebody in the school, one of your teachers, one of the faculty members who have really had a positive impact in your life. We have Thanksgiving coming up, and I'm going to teach you a few new techniques in this project, but I want it to be a thank you letter that you're going to deliver to them. This is my final project here, and I'm going to show you the techniques I did to get to this final product. So, first of all, you are going to figure out who you are going to be writing this letter to. I would prefer that you pre-write your letter in a Word document, and then you're going to choose the graphics you are going to use based off of that person and what you think they would like. The images don't have to be the same that I have. I want this to be your own creative thank you note to that person. So you're going to start after you have gathered all that information. Start your letter in Word document. Gather the images you need. You're going to go to File, New. You are going to do Print, Last Name, _ thank you. I want it to be 8.5 by 11 inches, and it is totally your choice on if you choose portrait or landscape. I'm going to go with landscape and create. Once we have our blank document, I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded, go to where I have the images saved, and I'm going to choose the image I'm going to use and place it in my document. These aren't really the colors I want to go with for my final project, so I'm going to change the color balance on this image. So down on the bottom of our layer panels, we have our adjustment layers, and we are going to choose color balance. With color balance, we can move our color charts back and forth, decide where you want to be with your color balance. That's about right for me. That's what I want for this image. So once I have that color balance, I know I'm going to keep it that way throughout this whole document. I'm going to hold down Shift on my bottom layer here. So I have two selected, and I'm going to go to Layer and Merge Layers. Now those will stay together the rest of the time. I'm going to click on this layer and change it to Background Graphic. Be sure that you're changing the names of your layers as you work so that when you have a lot of layers, you know what layer it is when you need to do something to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my Move tool, and I'm going to rotate this image the other way, and I am going to resize it. If you do not see the box around here, when you go to move your image, make sure that you click Show Transform Controls. So now that I have my transform controls, I'm going to turn this around the other way, and I'm going to resize it so that it works for what I want for this image. Once I have it where I want, I'm going to say OK. Yes, that is what I want. I'm going to take a second right now and save my project so I don't lose anything. If my computer freezes, it will come back to where I am. So I'm going to go to Save As, File Save As. You already have last name _ thank you. I'm going to make sure it is a Photoshop PSD file. Put it in pictures so I know where to find it, and I'm going to save it. From here on out, as I'm working, all I have to do is go to File, Save, or just click Control S on my keyboard. Now that I have this guy in place, I'm going to add another layer. So create a new layer, and I'm going to make sure that I have white on my top color swatch. I'll bring that over to white. and go to my rectangle tool. Once I have my rectangle tool, I'm going to draw a box covering about 1/3 of my document. Then I'm going to go to my type tool, horizontal type tool, click on my horizontal type tool, and before I do anything, I'm going to make sure that I have a really nice, bold font. So we're going to use a display font. The one I'm using is Show Card Gothic. Going to change the size. 72 will work for now, and then I'm going to change the color because right now it is white and we won't be able to see it, but it doesn't really matter the color. We're going to change this later. I am then going to click and drag an area that I want my font to go in. I've already copied what I wanted to write, so I'm going to just paste that in there and click OK. Okay, go to my Move tool, move that in the area I want it. Here's the really cool part about this. I'm going to go back down to my background graphic, and I am going to press Ctrl J on my keyboard to copy it, or you go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. I'm going to drag this second image up above my text and move it over into place about where I want it. I will be able to adjust it later. Then I'm going to right click on that layer and create a clipping mask. That brought that image down and put it within the text, as easy as that. So I have an extra layer on here. I'm going to get rid of that. I don't want that right now. I have my text, my headline text that's big, bold, and a graphic that I have created a layer mask inside. I can click on this graphic, and with the Move tool, I can move that around to where I want that to be. So you're not stuck with where that was. If I click on my type, I can still move my type around with the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm going to go to File, Save, or Control S on my keyboard to save it so we don't lose any work that we have done. Next, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my background graphic, and I'm going to change the opacity on that because I want to go ahead and add some type over on this side of the image. So to do that, I need to make sure that I can read it. So I'm going to bring the opacity down to about 17. I think that might work. I can control it later on if I want. Now I'm going to go to my Word document I created, and I am going to copy what I wrote, come back over to Photoshop and go to my horizontal type tool. We have all of our settings for this big bold headline on the side. So we need to go ahead and change that to another font that's going to complement the bold font. So we don't want too many busy fonts. We want a nice, I think with this font, a nice sans serif will go well. I'm going to bring that size down, and I would much rather it be smaller than I need at first so I can fit it all in there. And I want to change my color to a blue. So I'm going to choose the eyedropper tool and the blue and then darken that up and say OK. Now I'm going to click and drag an area I want my type to stay within and hold down Control V on my keyboard, or I'm actually going to step back really quickly because there's something I want to show you before I do that. So if you notice when I added that text in there was a lot of space between the letters. To control that, you want to go to Window and Character. That's going to bring up this panel right here. And if you notice the A on top of the A with the arrows between, that changes your leading. So it is set for 90, which is really good if our font is 80, 90, 100. Right now with my font being at 16, that's putting way too much space in between it. So I'm going to go ahead and change that down to 18. And now when I put my text in, drag my text box, Control V, now there's not so much spacing in between it. And like I said before, I'd much rather that be too small so I can fit it all in there and I can adjust it later. So I'm going to click at the last letter and drag over all of it. And here in the character panel, I'm going to control my type. And as you notice, I'm changing the font size. The leading between the letters has not changed. So now they're getting too close together. So I'm going to change that. Oh, a little too much. So let's bring that back down to 36. And I think it might be a little bit between where we were. So I'm going to type in 42. It's taking up a tad too much space for me. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 30. And that's a good, very nice. We have this 2 coming way out here. I'm going to put my cursor in there and press enter, bring that down. And now I can go to my move tool and I can move that into place. You need to make sure when you are working on design, you are not putting your font right up to the edge, because when you go ahead and print, that is could be printed off. But also it just looks like I was not thinking about my design, my overall design, the balance, and the hierarchy. So I'm going to move that into place, give myself a nice margin. There's always ways to break the rules. There are some times that it will work to put your text right up against the edge, but for this we want it nice and centered with a margin around everywhere. There was one last thing I added to this. I'm going to go to my top layer, click on my top layer, add a new layer. I'm going to go to my top color swatch and choose one of these reds. Say OK. Go to my rectangle box and I'm just going to drag a nice divider between those two. Let it go. And there we have it. There's my thank you letter. I hope that you guys are creative with this. You have fun with creating your layer masks, and that you pay attention to your font choices. You can change the spacing between the lines. You can also, with your character box, your character panel over here, you can also change the space between the letters. So we can go here and we can change the space between our letters, and you can be really purposeful on how you place your text in there. When you're done, the last thing I want you to do is I want you to go to Edit, check spelling, make sure everything that you have in there is spelled correctly, and then press OK when you're done before you save it. I'm going to go to File, Save. I already saved as in the very beginning, so I just need to save it. So now I have a PSD file saved with all of those layers that I can go in and fix and tweak later on if I need to, or if I find out there is a mistake, I can fix it. But for grading purposes, I want you to go to Layer, Flatten Image, File, Save As, choose where you put it on your computer, make sure the name is correct, and you're going to change this to a PDF. So you're going to go down to Photoshop PDF. Make sure you save it as a PDF for me for grading. So you're going to save, and this is where you know that for sure you're saving it the correct way for grading. Save PDF, and then upload that to Focus. Can't wait to see your guys' thank you notes. I really want you to think about what you say in these and do a good job. letting the people know what they have done for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.